Welcome to Kill the Clock. This is the first episode of the new NBA season, and I'm your host, Revni. Here with me, I have a panel of three other NBA experts.
Woo!
Anhad, how's it going?
Good. Really excited.
Anoop, how's it going, man?
It's going amazing. What's up?
Shahin,
How you guys doing? We're talking about football, right?
no, unfortunately we're not. That's another podcast, I guess.
What is this sport?
This is the best sport in the world. This is for the sport of basketball.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll do my best.
I'm glad we're all prepared.
Man, it's been a long summer, probably one of the craziest summers of all time in NBA history. So let's just get into it and ask which team had the best offseason? Shaheen, I'll start with you.
Well, gee, I don't know, man. That's a tough one. Well, maybe I'm gonna go with that team, and I don't know. Have you heard of them? The Cavaliers. They added the best player in the league and a top 10 player. I don't know, maybe them. But oh no, they have a unknown coach, so they'll be bad, right? Right? I don't know.
Were you talking about Kevin Love?
Is Kevin Love the coach now?
No,
Top 10 player.
he was the other top 10 player, but the coach is David Blatt, and I'm not sure about him, but he's from what he's been talking about, it looks like they're going to run a kind of a Princeton-style offense, a lot of ball movement, and it seems like it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. They're 5-1 in the preseason, and obviously this team had the best offseason. But for you, what do you guys think? I mean, there's not much to say about the Cavs. They aside from that, who else had a good offseason?
Yeah, since Shahin took the easy route, I think I'll go with a more obscure pick. The Bulls. Well, I guess they're not that obscure, but they had a really solid offseason. I think the best addition by subtraction was Carlos Boozer. I mean, Bulls fans have been waiting since the new CBA, basically, for him to be amnestied, and they finally did it. And even having Taj Gibson in the starting lineup would have been a big upgrade, but they did even better than that. They got Pau Gasol, who I think will fit in perfectly. They've got probably the best passing front court in the NBA right now. Both can play solid defense, and both can give you solid offense. And it just takes the pressure off Derrick Rose, who finally looks healthy, if you can consider that an off-season acquisition. Healthy Derrick Rose looks like a beast. I think Chicago is a solid number 2 to the Cavs.
I think, the team that I picked for this answer might not produce the best results, but I definitely think the Timberwolves had a really good offseason. Simply because when you look at what value they got for losing Kevin Love, there was a chance one time people were talking they would get nothing, and they got Zach LaVine, that's the guy they drafted. They got Anthony Bennett, who was the number 1 pick last year, and they got Andrew Wiggins, 3 young guys, and I think that's a really, really good addition to their team. Other than that, who else do they have? They have Kevin Martin on their roster. I don't know how far this team's going to go, but I think if you want to build a team, this is not a bad crew to start with. Oh, they also got Thad Young. So there's promise here, and I would say they did a really good job.
Man, you guys are taking all my answers. I wish I kind of went first, but I would probably agree that the Cavs had the best offseason and then the Bulls. I do think Minnesota also had a good offseason. I mean, they got the number 1 pick and they avoided the whole tanking thing for a year and got a great prospect in Andrew Wiggins. So I think those are all 3 really good answers. I guess if I were to go outside the box a little bit, I would say maybe Dallas. They kind of got Chandler Parsons on a very good deal, stealing him from the Rockets.
On a very good deal, a max contract.
A max contract, but it was only a 3-year deal, I believe. And according, like, the new CBA is going to increase the max, so
That's
that
true.
$15 million max might not seem that bad when we find out what the new max is. They also got back Tyson Chandler,
Mhm.
and they had him when they made that championship run in 2011. They got they got Raymond Felton, which was probably a downgrade to Jose Calderon in that trade to the Knicks. But they also signed Jameer Nelson, so I
Yeah.
think they could actually go starting with him. So I think Dallas is gonna improve from last year, and I don't think they had as good an offseason as the Bulls or the Cavs, but I still think they improved. So let's talk about the worst teams, or the teams that had the worst offseason this year. I would probably say the Cavs kind of lost, partly because they lost the best player. But
You mean the Heat?
I'm
You mean the
sorry,
Heat?
the Heat. Right,
Oh.
right, right.
I was gonna say I thought you were being sarcastic.
No, my bad. They had the best offseason. Yeah, but the Heat because they lost the best player in the game. But Shaheen, who do you think had the worst offseason this year?
Oh, aside from the Heat,
Yeah, aside from the Heat. My bad.
I don't know. Hey, let's ask Anhad that.
Um, no, I actually have an answer for this. I don't think Lakers did a good job. I think who they got? They got Jeremy Lin. They got Carlos Boozer. And Kobe Bryant still taking a lot of space in that their salary limit. So I don't know what direction this team's going, and all their moves this offseason, I don't know what they were going for, right? They got Byron Scott in, and I've heard good things about him. I don't know what exact offense he's going to run, but when you look at the Lakers roster, the biggest thing that's missing is defense. Who's going to play defense in that team? And I don't know if this off-season movement was done just to tank next year. I don't know, but there's no clear-cut picture on where this franchise is going, and Lakers fans are probably gonna have a very disappointing season.
Yeah, that's a really good pick. I think the Lakers are. I think their strategy is basically to build a new roster every year with a bunch of cheap one-year deals and say that they're going for it when I think everyone but Kobe knows that they're not making it in the loaded West. Another solid pick, I think, is OKC. They made no moves other than losing Thabo Cephalosha, and I think where they really fell is the draft, which is normally a strong suit. I don't think that they did so well this year, and I think that they're gonna. I think this is a crucial mistake for the Cavs, or that it's gonna play a big role in how well they do and if KD decides to stay. Because this was a
What do
super
you?
loaded draft, and I think they could have done better.
Not where they were picking. I
Oh,
mean,
definitely. I mean, look at Kyle Anderson
McGarry.
fell to the Spurs. Like, how does that happen?
Do they have a need for Kyle Anderson, or do they need another big that could score and stretch the floor like McGarry? I
I
thought
mean,
McGarry was.
I just don't think McGarry is gonna play this year, and I think that they needed someone who,
Well,
could
he's injured.
contribute.
He's injured now, I think. So,
Yeah, he broke his left foot.
right.
But I think he's
Yeah.
still scheduled to be back this year, right?
No, he's
Yeah.
going to be back in I think a month or two.
Yeah, and he had a good summer league. So I mean, it was a weird pick at the time. I agree with Anoop there. People thought he was going to go in the second round, but he had a good career at Michigan State. At Michigan, sorry, not Michigan State. And I think he had a productive summer league, and he could score the ball well. I think he could turn into a player, and I trust Sam Presti. But Shaheen, who was your team that had the worst offseason?
Yeah, I mean, after thinking about it, I'm going to go Indiana because I thought one of the best free agent acquisitions was Lance Stevenson, and I think the Charlotte Hornets, and I'm glad that I could say the Charlotte Hornets and not the Bobcats now. They got him for three for 27. I think that's really good value when you look at the other restricted free agents like Gordon Hayward and Chandler Parsons. Look at the money they got, close to max or max value. So Lance Stevenson has just as much upside as they do, if not more, and they got him on a really cheap deal, and the way it's structured, they could get out of it within the second year. So I thought that's a really nice contract for them, and I like what they've done for Indiana. I mean, you lost Paul George, that was a tragedy, but the only other guy that could create offense for you, you let him leave, and this team is going to suffer big time this season. We all know about Roy Hibbert and David West and George Hill. Are those guys really going to put the team on their backs and get a similar record? No. This team is going to slide down the Eastern Conference, and it's going to be really tough for them to sustain offense this season.
No, I agree. I'm not even sure if the Pacers are going to make the playoffs this year, to be honest. There are reports that Paul George is recovering well and he could return before the end of the year, but let's see what happens. I mean, he's going to miss most of the year anyways, and the Pacers lost Lance Stevenson. So, yeah, I agree with you there. But another team that had a pretty bad offseason, in my opinion, was the Houston Rockets. At one point, they were going to get, or there were rumors to get Chris Bosh, and Bosh was deciding between the Miami Heat and the Houston Rockets. And um, instead of not getting Chris Bosh, they also lost Chandler Parsons. So they could have had a lineup with Harden, Parsons, Bosh, who would have been like the perfect fit next to Dwight and Dwight Howard. I know they got Trevor Ariza and he's okay, but Parsons is still better in my opinion, and they could have had Chris Bosh. So
I agree. I'm not high on Ariza, but I don't think if you can give it to the Rockets just because it feels like you're counting like they had Chris Bosh when they never did. So, I mean, maybe if they got him, they'd be in contention for the best offseason, but they never had him. So I don't know if you can count that as a loss. They did lose Chandler Parsons, and I think Chandler Parsons is a better player than Ariza, who's only had 2 good seasons in the last 4, and they were both contract years. So,
no,
but
I
yeah,
I agree.
that's a different subject.
Right. No, but I also, I mean, I think Indiana had a way worse offseason, don't get me wrong, but I think Houston lost this offseason for sure. I think they were this close to getting Chris Bosh. They were really that close to getting him.
Well,
They
it
were really
seemed like
that.
that, but we don't know. I mean, it came down to Chris Bosh choosing the Heat, right? So.
Yeah, you can't really fault Houston for that. I will say this about Ariza: they do need some offense, defense on the perimeter, and he does provide that.
He
Chandler
does, yeah, I
Parsons
think
isn't a slouch either, though.
No, of course not.
yeah. Anhad, do you want to talk about
Yeah,
had the
I
worst
just
one?
want to mention I just want to mention Knicks, simply because there's always expectations. They had Phil Jackson come in last season, and you were expecting them to step it up and get some good moves going on, be a real contender this season, or just be a better team. But I really don't see much that they've done. They've got Jose Calderon, and there's a lot of rumors about them playing the triangle offense next season. And Jose Calderon's a good piece in that triangle, but still, you have Stoudemire, you have Melo, who's got insane amount of money. I just don't
Bargnani?
think this. Huh?
Bargnani?
Oh, Bargnani. Yeah, it'll be a decent team. It'll be a decent team at the best. And for the expectations that are put on the Knicks, I would say they didn't do a good job.
What kind of expectations are those, though?
I mean, it's always, New York, Madison Square Garden, Phil Jackson coming back, and there's always so much talk about New York Knicks, and you expect them to really challenge for something in the foreseeable future, or at least put up a good team. I just don't think they did enough.
No,
And and
nobody expects them to challenge for anything. Look at their roster. And I mean, they had no draft picks to deal with, and no
yeah,
trade assets aside from Carmelo. The best thing Phil could have done is re-sign him, which is what he did. So I don't think he's done a bad job so far. This
yeah,
move that he made there, it needed time. He couldn't change everything within a year or two. It's going to take a lot of time, and it's going to take a foundation, and that's what he's trying to establish right now.
Yeah. As I said, let's see where the franchise goes, and hopefully, I hope I'm wrong. Uh, but moving on.
Speaking of being wrong, who do
Uh-huh.
you guys think will be the surprise team of the year? Anyone
Whoa.
wanna?
I'm gonna go with the Warriors actually. I think Steve Kerr being there is gonna improve their coaching. No diss to Mark Jackson. I think he was a very good coach too, but I think Steve Kerr is just a better coach from what we've seen in the summer league and preseason. I know that's not a clear indication of what we're going to see in the regular season, but I do think they will be quite impressive. And I think, like I said earlier, Houston got worse in my opinion this year. Portland really didn't do much besides getting Chris Kaman, so they stayed around the same. Um, and the Clippers stayed around the same. And last year, Golden State pushed the Clippers to a game seven. I think the Warriors got better this year, so this year I could see the Warriors actually being a top four team in the West.
Interesting. I think I'm not sure if I can say it's a surprise team because I think people are already starting to kind of like watch out for this team. But I think the Mavs are gonna make a big jump compared to what they did last year. I think last year they were already the toughest matchup for the Spurs in the playoffs, and they brought in a lot of great pieces that fit in perfectly next to well, not next to, well, I guess next to Dirk, but also into Rick Carlisle's system. And I don't remember where I saw the quote, but someone said that's a copycats league, and that you either need a LeBron or a Popovich to win a championship. And it looks like the Mavs are going with the Popovich route, and I think Rick Carlisle is a strong candidate to carry a team. And now he has some great pieces to do it. He already did great with what he had last year. I think this year he'll just be that much better.
No, I definitely agree. I think the Mavericks are going to be improved for sure. It's just such a stacked Western Conference. I mean, like we could say one injury is gonna like be the difference. The Suns won about like 48 games last year and missed on the playoffs, and they even got better. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. Do Anhad or Shaheen, do you guys want to talk about which team is gonna be surprising this year?
The 2013 Phoenix Suns. No,
Last year's surprise team.
yeah, no. I'm really high on the Clippers, and I mean these are not really surprise teams, but I feel like the Clippers could challenge for the number one spot in the Western Conference. And we were talking about good off seasons, but I think they had an excellent off season. They have a new owner, and the whole culture has changed around the facility. I mean, after reading some articles on the Steve Ballmer dude, he seems like a really hyped up dude. If you guys have seen his press conferences, he's going crazy. All the players love him. Blake Griffin describes him as a rich dad who gives you candy. Um, and he describes Sterling as the weird uncle. So I mean they're gone from Donald Sterling. They're trying to embody like a winning culture. They have an amazing cast of assistant coaches. They have Lawrence Frank, Mike Woodson, Monty Hill. They got all these dudes on the bench that could help Doc Rivers. So they have excellent coaches, and they're so deep too. I really like their squad, and if they could stay healthy, their core players, I think Blake Griffin's going to have a monster year. We always talk about Blake being only a dunker, but I think we all know that he's really refined his game in recent years. He's developed an outside shot, and he's looking like he's going to have a monster year this season, and the Clippers look like a serious contender.
So I hate you guys because those all three of them were gonna be my surprise, teams of the year. But that made me look at the whole league, in a different perspective, and I came out with an answer which might surprise everyone. I think Washington might surprise
Uh,
uh, a lot of people because when you look at their division, they're up against Miami, Atlanta, Charlotte, Orlando. I don't think that's an easy division, but I think they can win this division. And if they do win this division, they will be third. assuming Cleveland win the Central Division, and maybe, just maybe, Toronto win the Atlantic Division, right? If they don't, Washington could actually end up being second, you know? So I don't know. I'm leaning towards Washington having a really, really good year. And people don't talk about Washington. So I think that could pop up as like a big surprise.
I could see it, and I think John Wall has a chip on his back after getting snubbed from the USA team
Yeah.
this
Oh,
summer.
also they got Paul Pierce, that helps.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I think
He's,
I think Paul
he's
Pierce was
not the same Paul Pierce.
yeah, he's not the same Paul Pierce, and I think Ariza is better than Paul Pierce at this point.
That's a downgrade of that position, but the problem they have is what does their backcourt depth look like now without Bradley Beal out for about a couple months? That's
And they
Um,
have
that's that's
Andre
gonna
Miller.
that's going to set them back. No two ways
yeah.
about it. That's going to set them back for a while. And in that division, like you said, it is pretty competitive with Charlotte getting better.
Mhm.
Atlanta, I expect to be in the mix, or Orlando, not really. Miami, they'll be in the mix too. Um, I want to ask you guys something. Do we all expect Cleveland to be the number one team? Because I'm really high on Chicago. What do you guys think?
I personally am very high on Chicago too. That being said, Chicago is only going to go as far as Derrick Rose takes them, and I don't know about his health. I'm confident in LeBron's health more, so I'm expecting the Cavs to have some issues actually in the beginning of the season, much like how the Heat did when LeBron and formed the Big Three in Miami. So I think they're going to struggle out the gate. That being said, I do think they will improve as the season goes on, and I think come playoff time, they will beat the Bulls in the playoffs. Uh, but let's see what happens. Anhad, do you have an opinion on this?
I actually have a question for Shaheen. Are you too high on the Bulls, or is there a part of you which is doubting Cleveland to step up?
It's a little bit of both because when you look at the first season with Miami, they started 9-8, and I think anytime you add elite players to a team, you can't just expect that they're all going to gel right off the bat. And I think in any sport we would agree with that.
Yeah.
I think when you look at this team, they have incredible offensive firepower, and there's so much that I could only imagine what LeBron could do off the ball and in transition with Kevin Love giving him outlet passes, Kyrie Irving as a secondary ball handler, or LeBron as a secondary ball handler. Kyrie developing as kind of like a Wade slasher. This is going to be like Miami, and those guys are filling those roles. But the issue is, can they play defense? I think we all agree that Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving have never been in the playoffs. They don't realize what playoff intensity is, and they've never really had to buckle down and play defense to win a series. And that's going to be that there's going to be hardships in this season, and we all expect them to be high flying right off from the start. But I would not be surprised if they start off slow, just like that first year in Miami started off slow. And I think I'm really looking forward to this team in the second year of their development, not the first year. I don't have them winning the championship this year for that reason. I think everything like this needs time to gel, and I think this is a very good team, no doubt about it, no two ways about it. They have way more upside than the Bulls, but the Bulls have the structure and the foundation and the depth as well. So I would not be surprised if the Bulls actually are number one in the East.
Um, I have a comment about the comparisons of this Cavaliers team with the Heat team of 2009. Um, it's a fair comparison when you take into perspective that it's a new team and everyone's gelling in, and they have a new coach too. But there's one stark difference between both these teams, and that is the role of LeBron James. In 2009, there was unsurety about who was going to be the man in that team. Was it going to be Dwayne Wade? And LeBron James was coming from Cleveland, and he had things to prove. I think LeBron James is a different player from the guy who joined Miami. So he's going to be more responsible. He's probably going to be like a coach, you know. I'm not saying he'll take the coaching responsibilities, but he'll have a lot more say, and he's a lot more matured than he was. So they might take some time to gel, but I don't think it'll be anywhere close to the time that Miami took. And hence, I think this is a better deal than how Miami started.
That's an excellent point. I definitely agree with you. Because yeah, that Miami team was suffering from an identity crisis, and it took a year for Dwayne Wade to finally say, "Okay, I'm going to be your Robin, and you'll be Batman." When he's coming back to Cleveland, this team, I mean, everyone realizes Kyrie's 22, 20. He's a young kid. Kevin Love's 25. They both realize LeBron is the man. And I think when egos are settled down and people realize their roles, a team can get much better. And I think that's an excellent point. This team could be a lot better than that first year in Miami. But do you still expect them to win the title?
I
Oh, are you
don't.
asking me? Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say I don't expect them to win the title just because I think whoever comes out of the West is gonna be better, whether it's OKC, maybe the Clippers, or probably most likely the Spurs. That being said, I do think they're better than the Bulls just because I think Derrick Rose has to play at an MVP type caliber or have an MVP caliber season for the Bulls to beat the Cavs. I do agree that they're going to struggle off the bat. I I I don't really agree with you on Hud when you were saying that you don't think they're going to struggle early on because it's not to do with LeBron as much as it has to do with team chemistry. These guys haven't really played together besides preseason and All-Star games, and I think team chemistry is what made that Heat team struggle in the beginning, and I think it's what's going to make this Cavs team struggle early on.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm not saying they're gonna gel in, you know, ASAP. I was just saying that compared to that Miami team, these guys will get their act together much faster.
Oh, okay.
And I want to make one more point. You know, if the Bulls did not acquire Paul Gasol, I would have conclusively said that it's all Cavaliers. I think Paul Gasol was a very important move, and I think that move makes the Bulls a much better team. And I think it, it's so hard to predict anything right now, but just because of Paul Gasol, you have to think of them as, you know, 1A, 1B, and it's going to be very close.
Uh, Thank you for mentioning Pau Gasol. I think that was one of the best moves too. I know he's 36, but he's going to add so much to that team. And I think Anoop mentioned it before. They have the best passing front court now, and it's just going to be so much fun to watch those two big men pass and facilitate the offense. It's gonna be great. And Pau Gasol could still play defense. I know people don't think that, but they're going to have a very good defensive team. We know we've always associated defense with the Bulls, but they're going to be very solid.
Yeah, and one of the biggest criticisms for Bulls have been lack of offense. Paul Gasol adds offense too, you know, and it's a really good move, and I think it makes them legit.
Not to mention, they added some really good shooters. They drafted Dougie McBuckets and
Dougie McDerm.
And they added. Actually, was Mike Dunleavy there last year also?
Yeah, he was there last year, but him and Jimmy Butler, Tony Snell, they got that guy from I think Mirotic or whatever.
Yeah, Nikola Mirotic.
Mirotic.
Yes.
Mirotic.
A lot of good shooters there.
Yeah.
Plus, they have probably the best color commentator in the league, Stacey King, dude. The way he calls games, Jimmy G buckets. It's hilarious. I love watching Chicago games.
I don't know. The Cavs color commentator is something else. It just feels like you're watching a street game.
Wait, the Cavs color commentator is that really old sounding dude, right?
Yeah.
Well, but half the time I don't understand him.
What's up?
Half the time I don't understand him. He sounds like he's mumbling.
That's also true.
That Kyrie Irving went to the bucket and on a foul.
He's not the play-by-play, at least. He's just a color commentator.
Let's move. Since we're talking about the top teams in the East, let's hear who you guys have making the top four seeds. We've already said Bulls and Heat, and I think most of you would agree that those would be the top two teams in the East. Personally, I have Miami at number three, which might be surprising, but I do think getting Luol Deng, drafting Shabazz Napier, Mario Chalmers is going to be playing a bigger role. So I think Miami's going to be at that third seed. And at the fourth, it's going to be a toss-up between the Raptors and the Nets for me. I'm going to just go with the Actually, man, I don't know. These teams are so even. But I'm gonna go with Brooklyn just because they got Brook Lopez back, and they did seem like the better team last year when they made it when they beat them in the first round.
Brook Lopez's foot though.
Yeah.
Hey, isn't he
And
injured
Darren
again?
Williams has bone spurs. Or did he get that taken care of? I think he actually just got that taken care of, so never mind.
Yeah.
Didn't Brook Lopez get
He's
injured
falling
again?
off, though.
Didn't he what?
I said, didn't Brook Lopez get injured again?
Yep.
Oh, really? So how long
I
is he
think
out
he,
for?
I think he did. 6 to 8 weeks.
No.
Oh, wow.
No. I don't think it's that
It
long.
was 10 days, and it was a week
Yeah.
ago.
Oh, I meant
But
8 to 10.
it doesn't. It's not a good thing.
I meant the right answer, actually.
Yeah.
It's not a good thing for his season outlook, though. I mean, he's already starting to have problems in preseason. Can he handle all 82 games? No, because he's never been able to do that. So it's just a matter of time of when he gets injured.
We'll see. I also do like Lionel Hollins as a coach, though. I think he'll do a much better job than Jason Kidd, and I think that he'll get everyone to buy in right away. I think that's a really good pickup.
Whoa, mad disrespect to Jason Kidd
Exactly.
with the under.
100%.
Oh, come on. All right.
That was a great trade by the Nets, in my opinion. They
got a
got a
second
better
round
coach.
pick, right?
Huh?
They got a second round pick also, right?
Yeah, they got 2 second-round picks, and they got the better coach and more
Wow.
experienced coach for sure.
Yeah. I think that was a perfect move.
Yeah.
Yo,
No-brainer.
I'm gonna give my 4. Can I give my 4?
Yeah, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
All right, because it sounds like I'm high on the Bulls. I'm gonna go with it. Okay, I think Derrick Rose is gonna play really well. I just saw him go off for 30 in a preseason game, so I'm overreacting, and I'm gonna go with the Bulls being number 1, the Cavs number 2. I'm gonna go with Toronto number 3. Because I like the depth that they have, and I'm gonna go with Washington number 4 because I think Beal will set them back. I think he's out for 2 months. So, what do you guys think?
I think exactly the same. I have the Bulls or the Heat, or the Bulls or the Cavs, 1A, 1B. And then
Come on, say something. Say definitively.
All right, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say the Cavs. I got faith in Cavs. I'm gonna go with the Bulls. I got faith in Tom Thibodeau. I'm gonna say the Bulls take the first seed. Cavs 2. Then I'm gonna say Heat 3 and Wiz 4.
Wait, that's not possible. Because somebody from the Atlantic Division has to be there, which is going to be Toronto.
Oh,
That's right. Well,
Man, you guys can't be sleeping on Toronto. You guys can't be sleeping on the whole division.
well, I had Toronto 3rd.
Okay, you're fine then.
I don't have a map of the divisions in my head. I guess I'll take out the Wiz and give it to Toronto.
Or Brooklyn. Up to you.
No, I think I'll go with Toronto.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, I think my predictions for the East are Cleveland and Chicago for sure. It's going to be Washington and Toronto. In some order, all these 4 teams.
Okay.
So Washington.
I gotta ask you, man.
Huh?
You seem really low on the Heat this year. Where do you think the Heat are going to finish?
You know, I think I was being a bit biased early on when I thought they would be in around 7, 8, 9, that range. But by then they hadn't had acquired Luol Deng, and also I watched a couple of preseason games and Mario Chalmers, and they're not gonna be as bad as I thought they would be, but I would not expect them to be top six, or maybe sorry, top five. I think they might sneak in six. That's the best I'm gonna give them because a part of me is hoping Detroit to get better. Okay, I like the pieces that they have. It's just that they need to figure out how to get everyone playing, and it's gonna happen sometime. So I'm hoping Detroit creeps up. Um, but overall, the East has become a better conference. They've got better players in. So I don't know. It's gonna be a little bit more competitive. Heat will have to work for this, and
Let's hope
if
so.
the
Last
way
year was abysmal.
yeah. And Dwayne Wade's health is always a big question mark, right? So I still don't have too much confidence in them, but they will probably make the playoffs barely.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, Dwayne Wade is one of the best players in this league when he's healthy, and he did seem healthy today. He had a really good first half. And I think if Chris Bosh is going to take on a bigger role, if they could be like 85 to 90% of what they were before the LeBron days and before Wade's like health issues started coming up, then I think Dwayne Wade, he's going to be in the MVP candidate talk. Anhad,
Wow,
I mean,
really?
yeah, I really believe that if he could stay healthy, and I think he will this year. Shaheen, you want to say something?
Out of Detroit, Indiana, and New York,
Uh-huh.
who do you guys think is more likely to sneak in and get a playoff spot?
That's a very hard question. Um,
I'm asking experts.
Detroit, Indiana, and who?
Detroit, Indiana, and New York.
I'd say Detroit.
You guys are high on Detroit. Detroit sucks, guys.
I would probably
So
say
are those other teams.
like what did Detroit do in the offseason besides signing
Stan Van
that
Gundy.
one oh Stan Van Gundy, yeah, that's a good
yeah.
point actually. Uh
Jody Meeks, dude, 3-point champion. I'm just kidding.
That's not a bad move.
No, it's not. Their projected starters are Jennings, Meeks, Josh Smith, Greg Monroe, and Andre Drummond. And
I
this,
don't think they'll start Josh Smith at the 3 this year.
but
yeah,
this is the same problem I have. How do you keep Josh Smith off the floor, and B, play with a front court of Josh Smith, Monroe, and Andre Drummond? That's just they tried it last year, and I don't know. It was sloppy. I'm not sure. I don't have much faith in year two of this.
I think we'll see a lineup change. I think Monroe only took a qualifying offer, right?
Right. He's gonna leave.
Yeah, so I think they're much more okay now that they know that he's not under contract and he probably doesn't have a feature. They're much more likely to play him off the bench.
Oh, we haven't also mentioned that SVG is in town. He's new.
Yeah.
I think he's not the coach, but he's the president, right?
I think he's both, right?
I think he is the head coach.
Yeah. I
Well,
think he's head coach and head of player personnel or something like that.
oh, I didn't know that. I thought he was just head of player personnel.
no,
Yeah.
he's the coach and pretty much the GM.
Yeah, something like that.
Wow, that's nice. Oh wow, he is the head coach. Okay, well
Yeah.
he could turn this around, but I don't know. I'm not very convinced. They had a terrible defense last year, and they haven't really done much to deal with this. A very Stan Van Gundy move is bringing in a 3-point shooter to spread the floor, which they desperately needed. And so Jody Meeks, I thought, was a really good acquisition, and I think they got him for like 18 mil, so 3 for 18, I think, or something like that. So that's not bad. But I don't know. I don't expect them to. I think Indiana could still do it. I know it sounds crazy, but I don't have no faith in the Knicks, and they're obviously still rebuilding. But Indiana could sneak in there, but yeah, I mean, my 8th spot is somewhere of like Atlanta or Brooklyn.
Uh, uh,
Anhad, did you want to
Either.
say something?
no, let's just move to the West.
Okay. Move to the top four in the West. I'll go first, I guess. I think you have to put the Spurs up top, and they're the champions. They have everyone there together still. They re-signed Boris Diaw to an interesting deal. They gave him incentives for staying at a certain weight. He would get like 100,000 or something like. No, I'm sorry, not 100,000. I think it's like 15,000 at three different increments during the season if he stays the same weight. So interesting contract there by the Spurs.
Stop
Uh,
eating, Boris.
Hey, let him live his life.
These are revolutionary tactics, guys. Changing the
I
game
know.
forever.
Yes, I think Kyle Anderson is following in his footsteps. But,
Wow.
yeah, so I mean the number two at C would have been OKC if Kevin Durant didn't get hurt. It's gonna be I mean it's gonna be hard not to put him in the top four somewhere. So I'll still put him at like the fourth seed, I guess. And I think you got to put the Clippers at number two. It's surprising to say, but just because of the Kevin Durant injury, the Clippers have always had a really good regular season, and I think they'll have another good one with the new owner. And number three, oh man, I'm gonna say the Warriors, but I'm not confident. Like the West is so stacked. I wouldn't be surprised if Portland made the third seed or maybe even Dallas.
The
But
Warriors and the
that's
Clippers are in the same division, right?
Wait, which
yeah,
ones?
The Warriors and the Clippers.
Yeah, they're both Pacific Division.
yeah. So what
One
did
or
I
the
say?
other.
Oh man, I have to pick.
Let's just go with the four best teams. Just go with who
Four
you
best,
think
huh?
will be the four
Yeah.
best teams.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise I would have to say from the Northwest Division, the best team is probably no, I said OKC from that division, so they would be the fourth seed.
Yeah.
OKC would be the fourth.
Yeah, yeah.
All
Oh
right.
wow.
I think my top are probably the Spurs. After that, I think I'm with Ramni. I'll give it to the Clippers this year, just because of the KD injury. I think KD and the OKC will come in at third. I think that Westbrook's gonna look really good this year. I'm going out on a limb on him. I hope he can prove the haters wrong. And
MVP candidate.
He's going to be polarizing, just like he has always been polarizing.
yeah, probably. But let's hope for better.
Maybe
And
even more so this year.
fourth, even though I already picked the Spurs, I'm just going with the four best teams. I think. I think the Mavs are gonna sneak in there. I think I'm really high on the Mavs, and I think that they'll do much better than the talent on the roster indicates, just like last year.
Alright, is it me?
Yep.
Next?
Go ahead.
Alright. The top four teams are going to be San Antonio Spurs, Oklahoma City Thunder, LA Clippers, and Golden State Warriors. However, it's going to be a different order. And
Okay.
I'm surprised you guys are so low on OKC. And I think one guy that everybody's sleeping on is Steven Adams. I think this guy is good, is very good, and I think he's gonna get more time compared to Kendrick Perkins. And I think it's okay if Durant did not get injured, I would have had almost no problem putting OKC number one.
What?
Yeah, I think they nothing
Why?
because the thing is, not much has changed with OKC. They were almost the best team last year, and
The same could be
everything.
said for the Spurs, and they I think got better this offseason than OKC did.
Well, yes and no. I just think that Thunder. I don't know. I just have a feeling they will probably come out top in the West. If Durant was not injured. Now that changes a lot. I really like the Clippers. Can they be Number one, I'm not sure. So it's going to be very close. But in some order, these teams will be top four: Spurs, Thunder, Clippers, and Warriors.
I'm gonna go with. I mean, every year that I try to talk myself into not picking the Spurs at number one, they end up being at number one. So I'm not falling for the 15th time, Popovich. Um, I'm gonna go with San Antonio. I can't invent a reason why they wouldn't be number one. They're just so consistent. OKC could be number two, but I really like what the Clippers have done too, and they also last season were the best team defending the three, which if that carries on over into this season, that's going to be a really nice weapon for them to have against teams that obviously in the NBA now, in the modern NBA, the three-point shot is very important, except unless you ask Byron Scott. Um, so,
Ooh.
ooh,
Shots fired.
shots fired. Well, yeah, the Lakers. Well, and then number four.
Not 3-point shots.
Number four, I'm gonna go with the Warriors. So I mean, it sounds like a lot like you guys. I'm gonna go with San Antonio, L.A., OKC, and Golden State. And I mean, okay, so out of those out of the Portland Trailblazers, Dallas Mavericks, Houston Rockets, who do you guys think could creep into the top four?
Dallas Mavericks. I think they were in my top 4.
Okay.
In top four?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, actually, they can't because San Antonio is definitely in the top 4. But as a top 4 team, and maybe one of the teams that makes it furthest, I go with the Mavs.
Okay.
I
I like it.
I want to make a slightly orthogonal comment to this. I don't think this team can make top four, but it'll perform better than last year, the New Orleans Pelicans. Um, do
Do
we
you
know
think
the
they'll make
status
the
of?
playoffs?
There's an outside chance. I'm gonna give it to them. Do we know if Ryan Anderson's back?
He is.
He is. They have a decent team. They got Omar Asik, and I've always loved that guy. Omar Asik, Anthony Davis,
Tyreek Evans,
Tariq, and
Aaron
it's
Gordon, Drew
yeah.
Holiday.
Drew Holiday. It's not a bad team. If they can figure out their identity, they can figure, just the basic fundamental things out about the roster, who plays how, and everything. The chemistry's good. These guys could make some noise.
Is Monty Williams still their coach?
Yeah,
Yes.
Then never mind.
Okay, my bad.
he's young, man. I think he's
Rob, you had.
on
Sorry,
the hot seat, though.
sorry, Anhad. I don't agree with.
I don't really agree with
Oh.
you either. I do agree that they got better defensively with Ashik, and defense was their biggest issue last year, but I don't think Tyreek Evans is a small forward, and I think that's gonna hurt them down there. But I do think they're gonna improve from last year, and they could be like the 10th team in the West, which isn't bad.
That's a mistake.
Yeah.
Tyreek Evans is gonna prove all you haters wrong.
No, I'm a Tyreek fan. He's just not a
Tyreek
small
rising.
forward, right?
You're Tyreek. Yeah, it's not his ideal position, but he's a monster. He's gonna kill. He's gonna put the league on notice this season.
Bias Kings
I'm
fan
putting-
talking. Bias Kings fan talking.
I'm putting the league on
Bias-
notice for
Bias
Tyreek
Kings fan
Evans.
talking. Okay, wait, okay, guys.
He's not even a king anymore.
No, I know he's a former king. That's why you're so high on him.
So is Jimmer. I don't really
We
care
should
about
have
him.
drafted Steph Curry. Okay, never mind. Whatever. Let's not talk about that draft.
Shoulda. Yeah. All right.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Okay.
Actually, oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I might want to take my New Orleans thing back because firstly, Monty Williams, all right. Second, I was just looking at the divisions, right? The Pacific Division is actually very interesting because here are the things: Phoenix, Golden State, Lakers, Sacramento, and Clippers. Okay, but this team, you look at Phoenix. If they're gonna win all their games against Sacramento and Lakers, because within the division you play most number of games, that's a lot of wins right there. I was looking at, and New Orleans is going to be up against Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, and Memphis. It's a very hard division. And so, yeah, I take my New Orleans comments back.
I think they'll be better, though. I agree with you. They'll be better, but I don't think out of Phoenix, New Orleans, and Denver, I think we would all agree that Phoenix would be the most likely team to crack the top 8, right?
Yeah.
To make the playoffs. And
Yeah.
I think we all want that to happen, but you guys, I mean, every year we talk about Memphis, maybe, but they're so solid. I expect Memphis to be 8 or 7 because they do it every year, and they actually got a little better this year. So I expect nothing to change. I think that's a young team too. So I like Memphis this season at that spot too.
Guys, in the West top 8, we've put around 11 teams so far.
We're not talking about the bad teams, right? Let's not talk about the Kings. I don't want to get depressed. Aaron Collison. Oh my gosh. Anyways,
let's
lightning round.
let's go. Yeah, let's do a quick lightning round. I'm gonna say a question and you just give the team, and then you can't really we don't really have time for explanations, but just say what comes to your mind first. So I'm gonna say the first question is, who will be the worst team in the Western Conference? And for me, it's the Utah Jazz.
The Lakers.
The Lakers.
Hey.
The Minnesota Timberwolves.
Wow, really?
That's good.
That makes sense. Yeah, makes sense.
That makes sense. The worst team in the East.
Ooh. Oh, well, this is easy. Sixers.
Sixers.
Just because everyone's saying Sixers, I'm going to say Orlando.
What?
I don't know. No, it's going to be the Sixers, my bad.
You go call me after this podcast on.
No. It's going to be the Sixers.
Remy, did you pick?
Peyton.
I can't disagree. It's the Sixers are trying to lose, so
it's them. Yeah. Unanimous.
yeah. Okay. Who will win the Western Conference?
Ooh, San Antonio. Easy.
San Antonio.
Didn't you just say Oklahoma City or something?
He said if KD was healthy.
Oh, okay.
And
San Antonio.
I was also talking about the regular season more.
Lightning round, guys.
Oh, sorry.
San Antonio.
San Antonio.
Remy?
I'm gonna say OKC.
Ooh.
Controversial.
They're gonna get more wins than the
Lightning round, Shahin.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Lightning round. Okay. Who will win the East?
Who will win the East?
Cavaliers.
The Bulls.
The Cavaliers.
Doubles.
Cavs.
All right, 2-2.
Ooh, this lightning round.
And who will win the NBA championship this year?
Oh, come on.
It's so easy.
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee in 5.
Atari.
Guys.
Jabari.
I'm gonna go with the Bulls. I'm gonna go out on a limb.
Whoa.
Go Bulls.
You believe in Rose getting MVP form?
Well, that's the question. If he does, then yeah, I think they win. Otherwise, it'll be another conference final loss.
Anhad, the Spurs fan, what do you say?
Back-to-back titles, baby. San Antonio. Greg Popovich becomes the greatest coach after we win the title this year and the next year.
Wow, 3 straight. If Popovich wins another title, I think I will say he's the best coach ever, and I'm gonna go with that. Spurs once again.
All right. Wow.
I already think Popovich is the best coach, but I agree.
Phil Jackson, dude. He's got
Monty Williams, guys.
11.
Oh wait, you guys, I didn't say who was gonna win the championship.
Sorry.
Since I had OKC versus the Cavs, I'm gonna go with OKC.
Boo.
What? That's interesting though. That would actually be a sick matchup.
That would be cool, but I hope it doesn't happen just so KD leaves.
What?
Hold up a sec. Hold on a sec. Do we still have time on this podcast? Why do you want him to leave?
We'll talk about it later.
Okay, call me after this podcast, Anoop.
Okay.
Okay.
Where do you want him to go? Washington?
I don't care. Not OKC. Somewhere they'll spend money on him.
What if they fire Scott Brooks after another failed year, and they get a new coach?
Wait,
And they need a better supporting cast. They need to spend some money.
I don't think money is the issue, honestly.
That's my issue with them.
Okay.
Okay, we could talk about OKC and Kevin Durant's free agency.
This was the worst lightning round ever.
Yeah.
Whose fault was that, Shahin?
No.
But thanks for joining us on the first episode of Kill the Clock for the 2014-2015 season.
All right.
Hey, listen, guys. Last
We're saying goodbye, man.
Oh, we're just better than ESPN.
Yeah. So just delete all your other podcasts. You get your one-stop shop.
Oh, disrespectful. But I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't suspend people for 3 weeks when this
Boom!
We also talk
Shots
about,
fired.
we also talk about all the teams.
Well,
That is true.
most
Kind
of
of, I guess.
we don't talk about the Lakers here. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Okay, well that's gonna be all here for Kill the Clock. We hope you enjoyed it. Join us next time on when we talk about the first games of the NBA season, and we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Peace out.
Bye.
Milwaukee!